Hello guys! So, ang i-discuss ko sa inyo is all about environment, ecosystem, and biodiversity. So, what is environment? Environmental science is the study of nature and the facts about environment. Environment can be defined as all the social, economical, physical, and chemical factors that surrounds man, or all abiotic and biotic components around man, all living and non-living things surrounds man. Meaning, lahat na nakapaligid sa tao or sa iyo na makakapagpabago sa kanya or makakaapekto, living things man or non-living things. For example, tao, hayop, mga kagamitan, electronic devices, at iba pang pwedeng makakapagpabago sa tao. Lahat yun, part yun ng ating environmental science. Next, there are 3 reasons for studying the state of the environment. The first is the need for information that clarifies modern environmental concepts like equitable use of natural resources, more sustainable lifestyle, etc. Lahat ng pwedeng maging factor na makaka-affect sa human, mga resources, lifestyle, ng environment, at ng tao, which is kailangan malaman para mapag-aralan ng state ng ating environment. The second is, there is a need to change the way in which we view our own environment using practical approach based on observation and self-learning. Kaya kailangan natin pag-aralan is, kailangan nating mabago yung sarili nating views sa sarili nating environment. Pwede nating ma-adapt yung nature ng environment through practical approach base sa mga naobserbahan natin tsaka sa sarili din nating pag-aaral sa ating environment. Next, third is, there's a need to create a concern for our environment that will trigger pro-environmental action, including simple activities we can do in our daily life to protect it. Kailangan din nating maging concern sa environment natin. Kailangan sa bawat gawain natin ay ma-ensure natin yung paligid natin ay protektado pa rin. Next, let's go to the exploitation of various earth resources to satisfy the increasing needs of human population has resulted in number 1, depletion of various resources of earth. Dahil sa dami ng populasyon, mas malakas yung demand ng tao sa mga consumables like pagkain, gamot, livestock, raw materials, and natural minerals, which is mas mabilis yung pag-consume kaysa pag-produce. Kaya kumukunti yung mga resources. Next, number 2 is pollution. Principles of environmental education. Pollution, humans produce more pollutions like paggamit ng mga sasakyan, sa basura, pagsusunog ng mga plastic, at iba pang mga nakasira sa ating environment. Next, examine the major environmental issues. Kailangan natin pag-aralan yung mga major environmental issues natin like global warming, ozone hole, and so on. Next, discover the root cause. Alamin natin kung ano yung naging naging sanhi ng mga ito para malaman natin kung paano natin masusolusyonan yung problema ng ating environment. Next, number 3, develop problem-solving skills. I-develop natin ang ating problem-solving skills tulad ng paggawa ng maraming method sa pag-solve, logic, alternative, mga plano, at marami pang iba. Next, number 4, is promote cooperation in solving problems. I-promote natin ang pakikipag-kooperasyon natin sa pagsusolve ng mga problema. Kasi kung mas marami ang makikipag-cooperate, mas maganda at mas mabilis pa yung gawain natin. Next, emphasis active participation in prevention and solution to problems. Bigyan natin ng mas malaking pansin yung aktibong gawain natin para mas mabilis nating masolve yung problema kinakaharap ng ating environment. Next, let's go to the scope and environmental science. Studying the interrelationship between the components of environment. Ito yung pag-aaral sa relationship ng mga components sa ating environment at sa mga nakatira dito. Next, carrying out impact analysis and environmental audit. Pag-a-analyze kung gaano kalaki ang impact sa ating environment. Ito ba kung maganda o hindi, or kung malaki or kaunti. Next, preventing pollution from existing and new industries. Pagpipigil sa pagdami ng populasyon at sa pagdami ng mga industriya sa lugar na yon. lalo na kung masama ang naidudulot sa atin nito at sa ating environment. Next, stopping the use of biological and nuclear weapons. Pigilan natin ang paggamit ng bio at nuclear weapons kasi delikado to kumpara sa mga normal na weapons natin. At mas lalong malala ang epekto nito. Next, the last is managing unpredictable disaster, etc. Pagiging handa sa mga hindi inaasang pangyayaring kalamidad na darating sa atin at iba pang mga sakuna na darating sa ating environment. Yun lamang po. Thank you.
Hello sir, good morning po. Ako po si Mike Alaya Veray, Group 5, at ang napili ko pong topic is Public Awareness and Risk and Hazard in the Environmental. First, what is public awareness? Ano nga ba? Okay. Public awareness is a public level of understanding about the importance and application of women's and girls' safety in cities and communities. Raising public awareness is not the same as telling the public what to do. It is explaining issues and disseminating knowledge to people so that they can make their own decisions. High public awareness occurs when a significant proportion of society agrees that the safety of women and girls in the city is an issue that is of great importance to all citizens. Low public awareness occurs when a majority of people do not know or do not care about women's and girls' safety in the city. There are two main areas to focus on when raising awareness about safe cities for women. First, there is general public awareness, which involves widespread understanding and acknowledgement of the issues on a societal level. Second, there is safe awareness, which occurs when individuals understand how the concept of safe cities for women affects them personally. There are different ways to raise public awareness about safe city for women. It can be done through specific planned event, poster campaigns, websites, documentaries, newspaper articles in school and workplaces. Any publicly available medium. Different examples of strategies for raising awareness are presented throughout his section. Ideally, programming partners would combine a few strategies together, each tailored to the priority and specific group of a population. Methodologically sound approaches to raising awareness together with sufficient exposure have been shown through social science research to have an effect on knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors. It is usually more effective to create a coordinated long-term awareness raising campaign than to create large short-term campaign. This is because when the concept of safe city for women is talked about over time, it is important because becomes normalized. It becomes a normal part of people's every lives. By contrast, if there is only one single campaign to address the issue of safe city for women, people may forget about the issues once the campaign is over. By taking different approaches at different times, awareness can be raised all over the city, using current event and issue as a backdrop for talking about safe cities. Why is public awareness important? Public awareness is important because safe city for women are created when people in city work together to eliminate violence against women and girls. In order to work together, the public needs to have a common understanding of what violence against women and girls is and how it relates to women and girls' safety in their communities. The public also have to believe and share values that women's safety is an important issue in the community. Public environmental awareness is a primary concern of the future of humanity. It is one of the most important indicators for representing national civilization. It reflects many aspects of environmental situations such as people's knowledge, behaviors, and individuals' attitude toward sustainable society. All information is benefit for educators, environmentalists, and government officials in planning for social sustainable development. Environmental problems are become increasingly serious in the world, also Thailand. The industrial discharge, water pollution, and garbage causes for environmental regarding in our community. Public awareness encouragement is essential for ensuring effective environment improvement and protection. Protecting our environment is the most important section of implementing a sustainable development strategy. Government, private enterprises, and every person all should join and cooperate with each other to make the environmental quality improvement. Risk and hazard in the environmental risk can be defined as the actual or potential threat of adverse effects on living organisms and the environment by effluents, emission, waste, resource depletion, etc., arising out of an organization activities. Environmental exposure, whether physical, chemical, or biological, can induce a harmful response as may affect soil, water, air, natural resources, or entire ecosystems, as well as plants and animals, including humans and the surrounding world they live. With growing oversight, this type of risk is not typically covered under conventional liability protection, but gaps in cover can be filled by innovative specialty programs made available insurers. Given the increase in environmental exposures, the global risk and insurance community would be wise to evaluate its awareness, vulnerability, preparedness, and response in managing, emerge, and enforcing pollution risks. Children can also affected by other environmental risks, such as air pollution, lack of water, and inadequate sanitation, disease vectors, chemical hazard, electronic waste, injuries, global environmental change, radiation, emerging issues, endocrine disrupting chemical, early life opportunities. Environmental hazards is a substance, a state, or an event which has the potential to threaten the surrounding natural environment or adversely affect people's health, including natural disasters such as storm and earthquakes. Any single or combination of toxic, chemical, biological, or physical agent in the environment resulting from human activities or natural processes that may impact the health of exposed subjects, including pollutants such as heavy metals, pesticides, biological contaminants, toxic waste, industrial and home chemicals, human-made hazard will not immediately health-threatening may turn out detrimental to man well-being eventually, because deterioration in the environment can produce secondary, unwanted negative effects on the human ecosphere. The effects of water pollution may not be immediately visible because of sewage system that helps drain of toxic substances. If those substances turn out to be persistent, example given, persistent organic pollutant, however, they will literally be feedback to their producer via the food chain, plankton, edible fish, humans. In that respect, a considerable number of environmental hazards listed below are man-made hazards. Hazard can be categorized in 4 types: chemical, physical, biological, psychosocial. Chemical hazards are defined in the global harmonized system in the European Union chemical regulation. They are caused by chemical substance causing significant damage to the environment. The level is particularly applicable towards substances with aquatic toxicity. An example is zinc oxide, a common paint pigment which is extremely toxic to aquatic life. Physical hazard is a type of occupational hazard that involves environmental hazard that can cause harm with or without contact. There are many types of physical hazards. Some of them are as follows: cosmic rays, drought, earthquake, electromagnetic fields, e-waste, floods, fog, light pollution, lightning, noise pollution, quicksand, ultraviolet light, vibration, X-rays. Biological hazard, also known as biohazard, refer to biological substance that pose a threat to the health of living organism, primarily that human. This can include medical waste or sample of a microorganism, virus, or toxin from a biological source that can affect human health. Allergies of arbovirus, avian influenza, bovine spongiform, palapati, cholera, Ebola epidemics, food poisoning, malaria, molds, pandemic, pathogens, pollen for allergic people, rabies, severe acute respiratory syndrome, sick-build syndrome. Psychosocial hazard include but are not limited to stress, violence, and other workplace stressors. Work is generally beneficial to mental health and personal well-being. It provides people with structure and purpose and a sense of identity. So, yun lang po ang topic ko. Hindi ko po masyadong may kaliwanag kasi masyado na po mahaba. So, yun lang po. Thank you po. God bless.
So after studying environment, let's proceed to the ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? Ecosystem is defined as a natural, functional, ecological unit comprising of living organisms and their non-living environment that interact to form a stable, self-supporting system. Ecosystem is a community of living organisms and their non-living environment. Living organisms cannot be separated from their environment for the reason that they are dependent on each other. Living organisms needs their physical environment for them to survive. Let us also define ecology. Ecology is a branch of biology that deals with the relations of organisms and their physical environment. Let's start discussing the ecosystem. We have different types of ecosystem, the terrestrial ecosystems and the aquatic ecosystems. Terrestrial ecosystems are exclusively land-based ecosystems such as forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, tundra ecosystem, and the desert ecosystem. Meanwhile, aquatic ecosystem is present in a body of water. This can be further divided into two, namely the freshwater ecosystem and the marine ecosystem. Next is the structures of ecosystem. We have here three structures: biotic or living components, abiotic or non-living components, and the source components. The biotic components is the living components of an ecosystem. It includes plants, animals, as well as fungi and bacteria.
Biotic components can also be classified into three based on their function. Producers, consumers, and decomposers are the three broad categories of biotic components. I will discuss it later on, but for now, let us focus first on the structures of ecosystem. We are done with biotic components. Next is the abiotic components. Abiotic components are the physical and chemical factors that act on the living organisms at any point of their life. Light, air, soil, and water form the abiotic components of an ecosystem. Lastly is the source components. The sun is the primary source of energy. Plants and producers uses this energy to synthesize food during photosynthesis. This time, let us proceed to the function of the organisms in an ecosystem. I have mentioned it already in the previous part, but now we will discuss it briefly. We have producers, consumers, and decomposers. First are the producers or the autotrophs. Producers are plants in the ecosystem which can generate their own energy through the process of photosynthesis in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. All other living organisms are also dependent on plants for their energy, food, as well as oxygen. The second is the consumers or heterotrophs. They are the organisms that are dependent on other living organisms for food. Consumers is divided into three: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Herbivores are the primary consumers that eat plants and algae such as grasshoppers, rabbits, cows, elephants, and pandas. After herbivores is the carnivores, or also known as the meat eater. These are the animals that eat other animals to survive. Snakes, lions, wolves, polar bears, and cheetahs are all considered carnivores. Next to carnivores is omnivores. These are living organisms that can eat both plants and animals such as frogs, pigs, squirrels, orangutans, and humans are also considered omnivores. After producers and consumers, the third function of the organisms in an ecosystem is decomposers. Decomposers are also known as the saprophytes. Fungi and bacteria are decomposers that feed on decaying organic matter and convert this into nitrogen and carbon dioxide that can be used by plants to grow. And those are the functions of organisms in an ecosystem: the producers, consumers, and the decomposers. To have clearer understanding of these functions, let us show it through a food chain. So what is a food chain? A food chain is the transfer of energy and nutrients through a series of organisms with repeated process of eating or being eaten. So how does a food chain works? Let us take a look in this video. A food chain starts with the producers, which is the grass. This grass utilizes energy from the sun to synthesize food, and then goes on with the primary consumer, which would eat the producers. In this case, grasshopper is the primary consumer. Then second consumer, which is the frog, will eat the primary consumer. And finally, a tertiary consumer, which is a snake, will eat the secondary consumer. And when the snake dies, a fungi or decomposers breaks down the body into nutrients that can use by plants for them to grow. Let us find out how energy flows in a food chain. Energy flows through different trophic levels in an ecosystem. A trophic level is simply the position of the organism in a food chain. Since food chain start with producers and belongs to the first trophic level, they has the greatest amount of energy. The amount of energy at each trophic level decreases as it moves through an ecosystem. As little as 10% of the energy at any trophic level is transferred to the next level. For example, the grass has an amount of 10 joules of energy. The grasshopper can take only 1 joules of energy from the plant. And if the frog eats the grasshopper, it can take 0.1 joules of the grasshopper's energy, and the snake would take 0.01 joules of energy from the frog. As you notice, in each trophical level, only the 10% of energy is transferred. That's how energy flows in an ecosystem.
So ngayon naman ang pag-uusapan natin ay food web. Food web is an interlinked food chain or connected food chains. At this point, kinukonsider na natin yung ating possible consumers, prey and predators. Ang prey is sila yung mga kinakain ng ating predators. We have one example here sa ating grassland ecosystem, kung saan yung grass is ang ating producer and we have a lot of primary consumers or herbivores like rabbits, squirrels, and mice. Yung rabbit, siya rin ay nag-act na prey sa ating foxes, hawks, and owls. So sa ating food web, organisms can considered to be in different trophic level. Pag sinabi nating trophic level, ito yung position nila sa ating ecological pyramid. If they are considered to be primary, secondary, or tertiary. Next, we have ecological pyramid. Ecological pyramid, ito ay nagpapakita ng relasyon between sa ating producer at consumer. Ito rin ay graphical representation na nagpapakita ng energy sa bawat trophic level. We have 3 types of ecological pyramid. Pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. Pyramid of numbers, obviously, ito ay tumutukoy sa numbers ng bawat organisms or ng mga organism sa bawat trophic level. Halimbawa is sa ating grassland ecosystem and pond ecosystem. We have the producers as the bees and sila yung abundant. At habang tumataas ay pababa naman yung number ng organisms. Ito ay upright pyramid of numbers. We have also inverted pyramid of numbers. Example is tree or forest ecosystem. Isa lang ang ating producer which is a tree and marami tayong consumers. Next, we have the pyramid of biomass. It indicates the dry mass in each trophic level in grams per square meter. So, we have also upright pyramid of biomass. For example, in grassland and forest ecosystem. We have the producer which have the great amount of dry mass, and as we go up, the total dry mass decreases. So we have also inverted pyramid of biomass. Example is pond ecosystem, kung saan makikita natin we have a small base of phytoplanktons which supports the consumer's biomass of great weight. Last, we have pyramid of energy. Dito pinapakita yung energy sa bawat trophic level at yung kabawasan ng energy sa bawat trophic level. It is always upright dahil as we go up, the energy decreases. So next naman, pupunta na tayo sa nitrogen cycle. Bakit nga ba mahalaga ang nitrogen? Aside sa ito ay component ng protein and nucleic acid, ito rin po ay makikita natin sa ating soils and plants, sa tubig na iniinom natin, sa hangin na hinihinga, pinapasok natin sa ating katawan, sa papapalago ng mga halaman. It is also a key building block of DNA. At ang nitrogen is one of the most abundant element in atmosphere, which approximately 78% of the atmosphere. At we have 5 steps in nitrogen cycle. Number 1 is nitrate fixation. Ito yung conversion ng ating nitrogen into ammonia. So, ang ating nitrogen is extremely stable, kaya kailangan niya ng great deal when it comes to energy. At posible yon sa mga proseso na nag-exert ng tremendous heat katulad ng combustion, volcanic action, lighting, at industrial processes. Yung mga bacteria na Azotobacter, Clostridium, at Nostos, sila yung capable of breaking the bonds in nitrogen and combine it with hydrogen that made it possible na ma-convert yung ating nitrogen into ammonia. Number 2 is nitrification. Ang ating nitrification ay conversion ng ammonia sa ating nitrate. It is a two-way process. Number 1, ang bacteria nating Nitrosomonas at Nitrococcus ay i-convert ng ating ammonia into nitrite. Number 2, ang bacteria na Nitrobacter ay i-convert naman ang nitrite into nitrate. During those conversions ay nagigain ng energy which requires oxygen na nagiging daan para ma-convert ang ating ammonia into nitrate. Number 3, we have assimilation. At this point, yung mga roots natin, na-absorb na nila yung ammonia or nitrate and incorporate them into organic nitrogen such as proteins, nucleic acids, and amino acids. Number 4 is ammonification. Di ba nakapag-produce tayo ng organic nitrogen in assimilation? Yung conversion nito into ammonia is what we call ammonification. Yung amino acids and nucleotides natin are broken down into ammonia. And last, we have identification. Identification naman, ito yung reduction ng nitrate natin sa ating nitrogen gas through presence of anaerobic bacteria. Ito rin yung bacteria na to nagbabalik ng ibang nitrogen natin sa ating atmosphere. So yon, understanding the nitrogen cycle, how it goes from the atmosphere to the earth is an endless cycle. Makakatulong sa atin ito sa pagpapalago ng ating mga halaman at sa pagprotekta ng ating environment.
My first topic is all about oxygen cycle. So yun nga, oxygen. Yung ating atmosphere is composed of 21% oxygen. Yung oxygen ay hindi lamang sa present sa atmosphere. Present din ito sa lithosphere and hydrosphere. Hydrosphere sa tubig. Yung lithosphere sa earth. So, ano nga ba ang oxygen cycle? Oxygen cycle is include the regulation of cycle of oxygen in the atmosphere. Yung oxygen cycle is yung cycle lang nag-reduce and pag-consume and pag-recycle ng oxygen. Yung cycle na yun ay includes both the aerobic and anaerobic component. Oxygen is continuously produced when using the atmosphere. Yung oxygen is highly reactive and readily reacts with the other elements and compounds. Yung nag-exist natin ang oxygen. Oxygen is found regardless of molecular oxygen. Kaya madalit pa natin natin oxygen cycle lang. Words. Una-una yung molecular oxygen. Molecular oxygen go to cleaning din natin ng iba pang mga alot. Tapos next is yung water, H2O. Next is yung carbon dioxide, inorganic compounds, and others. Oxygen cycle is of the biosphere. Oxygen is released in the process of photosynthesis. Yung photosynthesis, yung process nyo is yung kumuha siya ng carbon dioxide, tapos gumagawa siya ng pagkain, carbohydrates, tapos yung byproduct mo, i-release mo, i-release sila ng oxygen. Yung oxygen mo is ginagamit natin to process of respiration. Yun nga yun, pag nga natin ng iba pang mga hayop. ginagamit din yung oxygen sa combustion, sa pagsundo ng apoy o kahit ano sa mga sasakyan, isla related to combustion. Yung position. Dito, patay na tayo. Hindi na tayo magkakonsume ng oxygen. Kapag patay na tayo, magkakonsume pa rin tayo kapag nag-decompose na yung ating katawan. Tapos sa rusting and corrosion, yun, may consume din ng oxygen. Alam niyo ba na merong most of microorganisms consume sila ng oxygen. Yung microorganisms na yun, yung tinatawag natin aerobes. Meron namang microorganisms na hindi nag-consume ng oxygen para mag-fuel. Hindi na nila kailangan ko rin. Hindi naman yung anaerobe. Tapos alam niyo ba na 90% na pinakonsume na oxygen is ang nag-recycle nagpapalit is algae. Oxygen is important for the synthesis of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Tapos tayo sa ozone hole is produced sa so yun lang yung oxygen cycle. My next topic is all about carbon cycle. Carbon cycle. Carbon cycle is kasunod lang siya yung previous topic natin, oxygen cycle. Carbon cycle and oxygen cycle is related. Sa mga living organisms, dahil importante yung pag-maintain ng carbon dioxide at oxygen. Yung pag-maintain na yun is yung process ng oxygen cycle and carbon cycle. Yung carbon cycle is simply pagkuha ng carbon dioxide sa then i-release them. So, ano nga ba yung mga consume yung nag-release ng carbon dioxide? Yun nga, dahil yung kanina yung halaman is nakailangan yung carbon dioxide para mag-handle yung siya ng process ng photosynthesis. Yung carbon dioxide nakailangan yung halaman, so pulling it from the atmosphere. Tapos yung halaman na yun is mag-release yung siya ng oxygen. Kaya sabi ko na tapos yung halaman na yun kakainin din ng mga hayop. Tapos saka yung i-release ng oxygen. Tapos dalawa yun kapag namatay ng halaman na yun. Yan, mag-decompose na siya. Sabi ko nga kanina, kapag nag-decompose na yung katawan, kailangan yun ng oxygen. Kapag kinailangan ng oxygen, kukuha dito yung oxygen from the plant. Tapos mag-release na ito ng carbon dioxide. Pagtayin naman yung namatay na halaman sa kanyang hayop ng carbon dioxide is kalawin na magiging fossil fuels na gagamitin naman sa mga factories, sa mga power stations, sa sa ating mga sasakyan. Tapos yun, kapag ginamit natin sa mga factories, sa mga power plants, if mag-release naman siya ng carbon dioxide, babalik lang naman siya sa atmosphere. Yun lang yung para may maintain naman natin. Ito yung balance niya. Para may balance yung amin. So yun, para sa pag-consume ng oxygen through respiration. Tapos kapag yun naman, kapag respiration, lahat yun yung oxygen ng carbon dioxide, which is gagamitan naman through photosynthesis. Hanggang yun, babalik na naman yung carbon dioxide, babalik sa ating silver ng high levels ng tapos yung pag ano naman yung nagkakos naman ng pagkasira ng cycle carbon yung excessive use ng pesticides yun pwede yung mag-cause kapag nasira yung cycle ng carbon nagkakos siya ng global warming kasi para ma-protect natin natin sa basura para ma-maintain is through planting more trees tapos development reducing costs excessive use of pesticide yan tapos mag-legal tapos yun, multiple methods. Wala nang legal layo, so pag-consume log. Kasi yun, kapag namitin natin yung cycle. Kasi yun yung use ng oxygen. My next report is all about phosphorus cycle. Along with the water cycle, carbon cycle, and the nitrogen cycle. Ang phosphorus cycle ay isa rin pinakamalagang bagay para sa mga tao at langit sa mundo. Biogeochemical cycle, a pathway by which a chemical substance moves through biotic and abiotic compartments of Earth. Di gaya ng oxygen at carbon dioxide, ang phosphorus ay di matatagpuan sa atmosphere ng Earth. It still plays a very important role in plants and animals. So ay kinakailangan para sa paglagawa ng mga halaman. It is also very important to the production of DNA and RNA. Nakakatulong ito para sa paggawa ng cell membrane. Phosphorus cycle is slow process and involves 4 steps. Unang-unang weathering. Ang phosphorus ay matatagpuan sa mga metal. Weathering along with rains breaks down the phosphorus ions. Tapos napupunta sila sa lupa, mas meron din napunta sa tubig. Ang phosphorus naman na napupunta sa tubig ay nanginom ng mga hayop at yung iba ay na-absorb ng halaman. Yung mga halaman naman ay kinakain ng mga hayop at na-absorb din nila ang phosphorus. Ang phosphorus naman na na-absorb ng mga halaman at ng hayop ay nakakatulong para sa kanilang paglaki at paglagot. Matapos naman yun, ang next step is back to the environment. Kalaunan, kapag namatay na ng hayop at mga naman, ay yung bacteria, i-convert yung organic phosphorus sa inorganic phosphorus. Ang tapos na yun, ay tinatawag naman na mineralization. And last, this step naman is sedimentation. Sa mga pagka-space, next day, the sediments, mula sa maging bato na ito maling at uulit na naman mag-ulit ng cycle. Karamihan naman sa phosphorus ay napupunta sa dagat ng parang cycle din ng nangyayari. Absorb ng sila yung phosphorus at makamatay, then decompose at mapupunta sa mga sediments at magiging bato din. Humans have a significant impact on the phosphorus cycle. Yung mga fertilizers na nilalagay natin sa mga lupa ay may phosphorus. Yung yun naman ay nakakatulong sa mga halaman para sa paglago. But excessive amount of phosphorus, the other abundance of plant nutrients serves and drives excessive growth of algae. Tapos kung namatay ito ay nagiging toxic ito sa mga hayop at halaman.
Hello everyone, my name is Amon Josh Kimson and I will be discussing about three ecosystem which are the forest, grassland, and desert ecosystem. Forest ecosystem. First of all, what is a forest? A forest is an area with high density of trees. It covers 31% of the world's land surface. It provides numerous environmental services like nutrient cycling, maintaining biodiversity, providing wildlife habitat, affecting rainfall patterns, regulating stream flows, storing water, reducing flooding, preventing soil erosion, reclaiming degraded land, and many more. Aside from environmental values, forest also provides traditional values. Ito yung mga material na bagay na nakukuha natin sa forest. Kagaya na lamang ng firewood or lumber, herbal medicines, and fruits, and many more. Structure and functions of forest ecosystem. Of course, the biotic component and abiotic components. Siyempre, pag sinabi nating biotic components, these are the living components. And it has three functional groups, which is the producer, consumer, and decomposers. First of all, the producers, syempre sa forest, main producers are the trees. They supply the food for at least everyone living there. The second one is the consumers. Consumers have three types. These are the primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. The primary consumers are the herbivores. They feed directly on the producers. Siyempre yung producers natin, the trees, ang primary consumers ay yung mga herbivores. Sila yung mga kumakain sa puno. Kagaya na lamang nitong mga to. Secondary consumers, sila yung mga kumakain sa primary consumers, mga carnivore din sila. At ang third one is the tertiary consumers. Parang sila yung parang nasa top na ng food chain ng forest at sila yung pinaka-dominant na mga animal doon. These are the examples of tertiary consumers. The last one is the decomposers. This includes wide variety of saprotrophic microorganisms. Pag sinabi natin saprotrophic or saprotroph, ito yung mga organism na kumakain o nakakakuha ng pagkain mula sa mga nabubulok na organic na bagay. Ito yung mga example nila: bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes. And abiotic components, these include basic organic and inorganic compound present in the soil and the atmosphere. In addition, dead organic debris is also found littered in forests. Yung mga abiotic components naman, ito yung mga non-living na component na malaki ang tinutulong sa forest. Kagaya na lamang ng sunlight, water, soil, minerals, and iba pang mga bagay na nakakatulong sa forest. Yun. The next one is grasslands. So, what is a grassland? Grasslands are vast areas in which natural vegetation consists of lush green grass running across several miles. So, the word itself, itong grassland, these are the areas that is dominated by grass. Grass occupy about 24% of Earth's surface. So, ganun siya kalaki, almost 1/4 ng Earth's surface. Lands are normally found between forest and desert, where there is balance between the amount of rainfall. It occurs in regions too dry for forest and too moist for desert. And also, the highest abundance and greatest diversity of large mammals are found in the ecosystem, like buffalo, zebra, antelope, deer, elephant, giraffes. Ito yung mga herbivores na sobrang nakikinabang sila sa grassland kaya doon sila naninirahan dahil only supply nga ng food. And of course, these are the types of grassland. We have the savanna, steppes, prairie, and pampas. Ito yung sa iba-ibang lugar o iba-ibang country, iba-iba din yung tawag nila sa grassland. Europe and Asia or Eurasia, they call it steppes. Sa Canada, they call it prairie. And in South America, they call it pampas. And of course, in Africa, they call it savanna. Structures and functions of grassland. Of course, the biotic and the abiotic. At yun, syempre sa biotic components, they have the producers. At sa grassland, syempre number one producer is the grass. And syempre, gagaya nga ng sa forest, they also have three consumers. These are the primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Of course, in grassland, the primary consumers are the herbivores. Kagaya nga nabanggit ko kanina, yung mga buffalo, zebra, antelope, deers, sila yung mga primary consumers. And the secondary consumers are the consumers that feed on primary consumers. These are the carnivores. Sila yung mga kumakain dun sa mga herbivores. And syempre, ang tertiary consumers, sila yung pinaka-dominant talaga. Kagaya na lamang ng mga lion, tiger, hawks, eagles, yan. Sila yung mga kumakain naman sa mga secondary consumers. And of course, we have the decomposers. Decomposers, kagaya din sa forest, we have three, usually talaga yung three, yung which are the bacteria, fungi, and they attract dead or decaying bodies. Therefore, decomposition takes place. And yan, nagiging kinakain naman na sila ng mga producers. Nagiging pataba sila doon sa mga producers. So, ganun lang, cycle lang siya. Gaya nga ng sinabi sa Lion King is circle of life. Yeah. And syempre, ang abiotic components, of course, ganun pa rin siya. Sunlight, rainfall, yun, yung mga pinakamalaking tulong sa ating mga living components. Yun. Desert ecosystem. A desert is a landscape that receives almost no precipitation. So, talagang hindi siya talaga naulan. Parang once in a blue moon, ganun ba? It occupies about 17% of Earth's surface. Deserts are characterized by hot days and cold nights. Yung literal na sobrang init ng umaga at sobrang lamig ng gabi. Deserts are also characterized by scanty flora and fauna. Pag sinabi natin scanty, it is insufficient. Flora is plant and fauna are animals. So ito yung lugar na kukunti lang ng species ng plants and animal ang nabubuhay dahil nga sa harsh environment. Tapos, structures and functions of forest ecosystem. Producers. Ang mainly producers here are shrubs, bushes, some grass, and few trees. Dahil nga sa init, konting piling mga uri lang ng halaman at puno ang nabubuhay. The dominant plant species are succulents. Succulents, ito yung mga halaman na rich with water insides, kagaya na lamang nung cactus na kayang-kaya nilang mag-survive sa mainit na environment. The consumers. Consumers includes animals such as insect, reptiles, which are capable of living in xeric condition. Pag sinabi nating xeric, ito yung pag sinabi xeric, it is little moisture or very dry. Yan, yung deserto nga. Tuyong-tuyo talaga siya. Kaya, piling mga hayop lang yung nakaka-survive. Kagaya na lamang sa consumers, mga insect kagaya ng spiders, scorpions, and syempre reptiles, mga snakes, o yung mga lizard. Sila na. Decomposers. Ito yung mga bacteria, fungi, and thermophile. Pag sinabing thermophile, ito yung bacteria na nabubuhay talaga sa init. Yun. And syempre, ang abiotic components. Due to high temperature and very low rainfall, organic substances are poorly in the soil. So yun, sobrang konti lang nung organic substances na nakukuha nila dahil nga yun, walang water, no precipitation, at almost puro sunlight lang talaga. Kaya, yun. That's it. That's my report. Thank you.